Ladies and gubbins, so yes, I thought that we'd have a look at unroboting a Gibson, how to unrobot a Gibson. From a song by Richard Harris. What you will need is pilot hole drill with a bit of tape around it to make sure you don't go too far in, a drill obviously, a little screwdriver, you'll want a spanner of some description to undo the machine heads, and you'll need those to put the new strings on, a pair of side cutters, and what was it? Oh yes, the other thing you need is a penny or a cent or centime or a small coin anyway, and that will become apparent in a moment. Right, okay, let's crack on. Okay, so the first thing to do is to de-string, and this is where really changing strings on a G Force does make life easy. So you tap the enter button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then the menu button twice, 1, 2, and then it leaves you with this flashing, which means that you now press the up or down cursor to either upstring or downstring. So we want to downstring everything. So that's the bottom E becoming detensioned. Once it's detensioned, you know, reasonably, you press the arrow key across and just do the same with all of them. That's the A string detensioned, and D. The ratio on these tuning gears is 40, that's 40 to 1, which does give you some very, very fine tuning. Now apparently you can use them as a manual tuner. I tried giving one a bit of a wiggle once, I think the first one I got, and it didn't feel right, so therefore I don't do it. And finally the top E. And so that's all of these strings now slackened off enough for us to take them off altogether. Just long press that and it turns it off. Okay, let's do that. So we're actually using a USA 1 cent coin here, and I can't help but think that this was intentional. So all we're doing is just, you know, lefty loosey, righty tighty, just moving that to the left. If they try them with your thumb first, they might do. If not, basically it's a locking tuning peg, and so that's it really. These will come right off if you want them to. Oh, there you go. So I'll just carry on taking those off, and then it strings off, and you know, do whatever you need to do to the fretboard, and right, and then the next step. So strings are off, and now what you're going to do is you're going to take a 12mm spanner, or either box or whatever will go on, and really you're just loosening those. Take the rest of them off with your finger. And feel this come. Now keep them in the same orientation as when you took them off, because they're going to go back on the main plate. If you're either going to move them on or just keep them to put them back on at some point if you're not happy with the grovers. Right, let's get those off. So just to show you the last one, if you're doing it this way, which I think is probably the only way that you can, then you need to make sure that you're holding the little box of tricks that's underneath here, which I'll show you in a moment, because when this last tuning machine comes off, the little black box is going to come off with it from the back, of course. And here we come. There you go. And so this is, as you can see on here, this is type A, and that is for Les Pauls and SGs, I believe. So if you are installing one of these, and again it's dead easy to do, make sure you get the correct type. Right, let's have a look at fitting some nice new, what have we got? Some nice new Grovers from Gibson. It's probably worth pointing out at this stage that this, I know that this Les Paul 100 isn't universally popular. I have no feelings about it one way or the other. It's Les Paul's signature, and it would have been his 100th year in 2015. And I have seen this disguised, either disguised or what I suspect has happened. So I've seen these from this year where they've made that Les Paul 100 disappear and just go back to Les Paul's signature with the word model underneath it, like with most studios from different years. So what's either happened is the veneer has been removed from the top, and I should say that that is a job for not the faint-hearted, or perhaps it's just been sprayed over and they've started again, transferred, something like that. Don't know, but if you're going to do that, now will be the time. So very happily, your lovely shiny new Grovers from Gibson, they just slot straight in. And if for any reason they were difficult to go in, you would just invest, does it be worth it, a couple of quid in one of those, a little reamer, but there's no need, or certainly should be no need. The other tool that I didn't mention that we want to use before we drill the pilot holes is you want some kind of straight edge so that you can set these so that they are perfectly lined and not kinked. The other thing that you get with these is you get the washers. Are we still in? Can you still see what we're going on here? Not quite. So the other thing that we get is the washers and these bushings to ensure a nice snug fit, and they will nip up you don't want to go mad with them, but certainly just, only using your finger without having something in there to tighten the living daylights out of it. So yeah, so washer goes on, collar goes on. So I'll get these lined up and I shall show you my first pilot hole. So I'm going to use this fret rocker, and so what I'm going to do with each pair is I'm going to make sure that there aren't any gaps on that fret rocker, and that way we will be perfectly lined up. And of course the beauty about these is, so they're spot on. I'll do the same with each pair as I go down. So the beauty about these is, of course, that once you put the bushings in, it does hold them nice and tight. Right, let's prepare the drill. Okay, so we've got a little piece of tape around the end of the drill because that's only as far as I want to go in, and well, really the hole's so small that it will be, So I've only gone down as far as the tape, and it's a tiny tiny screw, and of course the screws, it's only there to hold them in place. It's not like a structural thing. And yes, that's me using a manual screwdriver. And so we'll just do the exact same with all, and the beauty about these is that if you did want to re-robot it, the robot plate won't cover up any holes, but I've got to say, the Grovers, they don't half look a lot nicer. So I'll do the rest of those holes, you know what it looks like making a hole, and we'll have a look and see what it's like when they're all done. So I just thought I'd let you have a quick look at what I do to line them up from a different angle. So I'm putting my fret rocker on there, and I can see that there are gaps in there. So I'm just giving that a gentle turn until the gap's at the top of the fret. Now, you see I've made a gap there now. Okay, that's both those lined up. So that's all the new Grovers on. Made the fret, just giving them a quick buff up, and put a cloth over the guitar, and it just looks. And I've got to say, the Grovers, they look nicer, don't they? And especially from the rear aspect. Right, get some strings on. Have a look. So there we go, all strung up, looking rather pretty now with the Grovers on them, so that, well, you know, I mean, I do like them, to be fair, and I still like, that's probably my longest surviving guitar has got a G Force system on it, so I do like them, and I can't knock them, and like I say, especially in a live situation, they're great, but I would have to concede that they are not the prettiest things in the world. Yes, they are easy to use. Right, okay, that's it for this one. I'll see you soon. Thanks for looking. Adios amigos. Ta-ra.